Captain Aidan Rook stood on the observation deck of the Federation outpost on Valeria 9, his gaze fixed on the shimmering horizon. The distant suns of the binary star system cast a faint light over the rugged landscape, painting the rocky terrain in hues of orange and purple. Aidan's radio crackled to life, breaking the silence. "Captain Rook, you're needed in the command center, ASAP," the voice of Lieutenant Mira, his second-in-command, came through urgently. "On my way," Aidan responded, his voice calm despite the urgency in Mira's tone. He made his way through the metallic corridors of the outpost, the sound of his boots echoing against the cold floor. As he entered the bustling command center, the large holoscreens displayed streams of data and satellite imagery. "What's the situation, Lieutenant?" Aidan asked, approaching Mira, who pointed towards a particular screen with a troubled expression. "We've detected an anomaly in Sector 17. It's moving fast and doesn't match any known ship signatures," she explained, zooming in on the image to reveal a mass of writhing, dark shapes converging towards their position. Aidan studied the screen closely. "How long until it reaches the outer perimeter?" "At its current speed, less than 2 hours," Mira replied. "I've already alerted the planetary defenses, but Captain, whatever this is, it's unlike anything we've encountered." Aidan's face hardened as he issued commands with precision. "Evacuate the non-essential personnel to the bunkers. Activate all defensive protocols. I want every available ship ready to intercept." "Yes, Captain," Mira said, turning to relay the orders. As the outpost sprang into action, Aidan contacted Admiral Gorski on the Federation flagship via the secure comm line. The Admiral's grim face appeared on the screen, reflecting the severity of the situation. "Captain Rook, I've been briefed. This could be the vanguard of the Andromedan swarm. We thought they were a myth, a ghost story to scare cadets," Admiral Gorski stated, his voice laced with concern. "If they're real, we're not just dealing with a raiding party. This could be an invasion. We need to consider every possibility," Aidan replied, his mind racing through scenarios. "Agreed. Captain, you have authorization to use any means necessary to protect Valeria 9. We're sending reinforcements, but they won't arrive for another 6 hours." "Understood, Admiral." "We'll hold the line until then," Aidan assured him, cutting the communication as he turned back to oversee the preparations. Outside, the skies began to darken ominously, an unnatural shadow creeping over the colony as the swarm approached. Aidan stood by the command center's large panoramic window, watching as fighter jets soared into the atmosphere, their engines roaring defiantly against the quiet of space. The first wave of the swarm hit like a storm. Dark, chitinous ships with grotesque, organic designs clashed against the Federation's sleek fighters. Aidan watched the battle unfold, his heart pounding as each Federation ship maneuvered desperately to hold back the swarm. Explosions lit up the sky, each blast a testament to the ferocity of the fight. Mira updated him continuously, her voice a steady beacon in the chaos. "Sir, the outer defenses are failing. The swarm ships are adapting faster than we can recalibrate," she reported, anxiety creeping into her voice. "Deploy the ground forces. Set up a defensive perimeter around the outpost. We fight them on every front," Aidan commanded, his resolve unwavering despite the bleak odds. As the ground shook with the impact of the swarm's descent, Aidan grabbed a rifle, preparing to join his troops on the ground. Before he could leave, Mira grabbed his arm, her expression serious. "Captain, you can't go out there. We need you in command," she insisted, her grip firm. Aidan looked into her eyes, seeing the fear and determination mirrored in them. "Lieutenant, if this is the end, then I will stand with my men. Prepare the evacuations. Get everyone to safety." Mira nodded reluctantly, releasing his arm. "Yes, Captain. We'll cover your advance." With a final nod, Aidan stepped out into the chaos, the sounds of battle filling his ears as he led his troops against the relentless tide of the Andromedan swarm. His voice rang out over the din, a rallying cry to those who stood with him. Fight for Valeria. For humanity. As they charged into the fray, Aidan knew this was just the beginning. The swarm was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The aftermath of the initial encounter with the swarm left the outpost on Valeria 9 in disarray. Aiden Rook surveyed the damage. Twisted metal and smoldering ruins painted a grim tableau. He walked through the command center, now eerily silent, the frenetic energy of earlier replaced by a somber quietude. "Captain Rook, we've received a priority transmission from Federation High Command," Mira announced as she approached, her uniform marked with soot. "Let's hear it," Aiden replied, steeling himself for more bad news. The holoscreen flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced General Varric. "Captain Rook, your defense of Valeria 9 provided us with crucial data on the swarm's capabilities. However, the situation is dire. We have a mission that could turn the tide, but it's highly risky." "What's the mission, General?" Aiden asked, his voice steady. "There's an artifact on Valeria 9, known as the Relic of Oceanara. Legends say it can disrupt hive-minded species. Your mission is to retrieve it. It's located in an ancient temple deep within the Nerith Mountains. Mostly uncharted territory and, as you can imagine, crawling with swarm forces now. Do we have any intel on the relic's specific properties?" Aiden inquired, his mind racing through tactical possibilities. "Only myths and scattered academic theories, Captain. Some suggest it emits a frequency that can sever neural links. Others believe it induces a state of chaos in collective consciousnesses. Either way, it's the best shot we have." "I understand, General. We'll begin preparations immediately. Be aware, Captain, you won't be going alone. We're assigning a team to assist you. They'll meet you at the rendezvous point in 2 hours. Time is of the essence." "Roger that, General." "We'll be ready," Aiden responded as the screen went dark. Turning to Mira, he saw her concern. "Sir, if these legends are true, this could change everything, or it could be a wild bandit chase in the middle of a war zone. We have to try, Mira. Prepare the gear and notify the team." "I want everyone ready to move out within the hour," Aiden ordered, determination clear in his voice. 2 hours later, Aiden and his team arrived at the designated rendezvous point, a secluded clearing shielded by the dense foliage of Valeria's forests. One by one, his new team members appeared. Rook, a reptilian scout with emerald scales that shimmered under Valeria's twin suns; Rhea, a crystalline entity from Varys, her form casting prismatic shadows on the ground; and Clock, a towering cyborg whose presence was both imposing and silent. "Captain Rook, I presume?" Rook said, extending a clawed hand. "I've heard much about your exploits today. It's an honor to fight alongside you." "The honor is mine, Rook. Each of you has skills that are critical to this mission's success. Let's make sure we use them wisely," Aiden replied, shaking his hand. Rhea's voice chimed like glass being gently struck. "I hope to provide adequate support with my healing abilities. The energies of this planet, they are quite unsettling. And I'm here to ensure our physical success," Clock's voice boomed, his mechanical eyes scanning the terrain. "Where the swarm goes, I follow and terminate." With the team assembled, Aiden laid out the plan. The temple is located deep within the Nerith Mountains. It's a 2-day trek through rough terrain, likely swarm patrolled. We'll need to move quickly and quietly. Rook, your scouting will be invaluable. Rhea, we'll rely on your healing to keep us going. Clock, you're our firepower." As they packed their equipment, Aiden felt the weight of command heavier than ever. The path ahead was fraught with danger, and the mythical nature of their goal made the stakes feel surreal. Yet, there was no turning back. "All right, team, let's move out. Keep your comms open and your weapons ready. We're not just fighting for Valeria now, we're fighting for the future of the entire galaxy," Aiden declared, leading them into the dense underbrush as the first of Valeria's suns set on the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of the perilous night ahead. The rugged terrain of the Nerith Mountains loomed before Captain Aiden Rook and his assembled team as they ventured deeper into the heart of Valeria 9. With each step, the landscape grew more hostile, the air thick with a palpable tension that seemed almost sentient in its oppression. "We should set up camp here for the night," Rook suggested, his keen eyes scanning the dense undergrowth and rocky overhangs for signs of danger. It's defensible and offers good visibility of the surrounding area. Aiden nodded, the fatigue of the day's march evident in his posture. Agree. Let's secure the perimeter. Clock, take the north side. Rhea, with me on the south. Rook, you take first watch. As they prepared the camp, Rhea approached Aiden, her crystalline structure catching the fading light. Captain, if I may ask, how do you stay so composed? The weight of this mission is immense. Aiden paused, turning to look at her shimmering form. I focus on the task at hand, Rhea. If I let the enormity of our situation settle in, it might overwhelm me. We do what we must, one step at a time. Rhea nodded, her tone musical yet filled with concern. I understand. I will do my best to support everyone. Night fell like a cloak, wrapping the world in darkness punctuated only by the occasional howl of distant, unseen creatures. Rook's sharp eyes pierced the night as he surveyed the landscape. Suddenly, his voice hissed over their comms. Movement, northeast, about 200 meters. Not sure if it's the swarm, but something's out there. Aiden and Clock quickly joined him, peering into the darkness. Let's keep quiet and stay alert. It could be local wildlife, but we can't take chances, Aiden whispered. The hours passed with agonizing slowness until the first light of dawn began to chase away the shadows. With the new day came renewed determination, and the team broke camp, continuing their trek up the mountain. The path grew steeper, the air thinner. Rook led the way, his low voice occasionally breaking the silence to point out potential hazards or to suggest they alter their route to avoid exposed areas where they could be easily spotted from above. Captain, I've noticed an increase in swarm scout activity. They're definitely patrolling this area, Rook reported, his voice tense as he observed a distant ridge. We need to change our approach, Aiden decided. Let's use the caverns up ahead. It might slow us down, but it'll keep us hidden. Clock, your sensors are best suited for the dark. Take the lead. The cyborg nodded, his heavy footsteps leading them into the cavern's mouth. Inside, the cool, damp air was a small respite from the relentless sun outside. They navigated the twisting tunnels, relying on Clock's guidance to avoid dead ends and pitfalls. Suddenly, Rhea halted, her body emitting a soft, pulsating glow. There is a disturbance ahead. Confusion of energies. It's disrupting my senses. Could it be the relic? Aiden mused aloud, his hand instinctively resting on his weapon. Possibly, Rhea responded, her glow intensifying. Or it could be a trap. As they advanced, the cavern opened into a large chamber, and the source of the disturbance became apparent. An Andromedan device, pulsating with dark energy, sat in the center, clearly designed to guard or conceal something. It's a shield generator, Clock analyzed, his voice a deep rumble. I can disable it, but it will make noise. We might attract the swarm. We don't have a choice, Aiden concluded. Do it. We'll cover you. As Clock worked on the device, Aiden, Rhea, and Rook took defensive positions. The moment the device powered down with a loud clank, echoing through the caverns, the silence that followed was nearly as oppressive as the darkness had been. That's done it, Clock announced, but before he could finish, a swarm of Andromedan scouts burst into the chamber, drawn by the noise. The battle was fierce and swift. Aiden and his team fought back to back, the air filled with the sounds of gunfire and alien shrieks. Rhea's healing energies flowed, mending wounds as quickly as they appeared, while Clock's strength and Rook's agility turned the tide in their favor. After the last of the scouts fell, the team, battered but alive, gathered their breath. Well done, everyone, Aiden praised, checking each of them for injuries. Let's move on. The relic has to be close. Pushing forward through the caverns, each member felt the weight of their endeavor. The relic's potential to end the war was within reach, and with each step, they moved closer to discovering whether salvation, or further peril, awaited them. After their harrowing escape from the chamber and the relentless pursuit by the swarm scouts, Captain Aiden Rook and his team emerged from the caverns into the harsh daylight, squinting against the bright glare. Before them stood the ruins of what appeared to be the ancient temple, half swallowed by the rocky terrain of the Nerith Mountains. "It's bigger than I imagined," Rhea whispered, her voice resonating with a mixture of awe and trepidation as she gazed at the towering stone structures adorned with intricate carvings, worn by time. "According to the intel, the relic should be housed in the central dome," Rook pointed out, his sharp eyes scanning the edifice and its surroundings. "But getting there won't be straightforward." Aiden surveyed the area, noting several paths leading into the temple, each fraught with potential dangers. "We'll split into 2 teams. Rhea, you're with me. We'll take the main path straight to the dome. Rook, Clock, circle around to the back. Look for any other entrances, you might find a less guarded approach." "Understood, Captain," Clock responded, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. As Aiden and Rhea advanced towards the central dome, the eerie silence of the place unsettled them. The air was thick with the scent of decay and ancient dust stirred into the air with each step. "This place feels alive," Rhea commented, her crystalline form shimmering subtly with inner light, reflecting her unease. "It's just the history, Rhea. Places like this are steeped in stories. Let's hope the one we're about to write is a victorious one," Aiden replied, trying to keep the mood light. They reached the main entrance, a gaping maw flanked by statues of forgotten deities, their visages eroded but still menacing. As they stepped inside, their footsteps echoed through the vast, hollow halls. The air inside was cool, a stark contrast to the heat outside. Suddenly, Rhea halted, her glow dimming as if she were straining to listen. "Captain, do you feel that?" Aiden paused, focusing on the ambient energies. A faint, almost imperceptible hum vibrated through the stone floor beneath their feet. "The relic," he murmured. "It's here, and it's active." They followed the hum through a labyrinth of corridors, each turn an archway meticulously crafted, the walls adorned with bas-reliefs depicting scenes of ancient battles and celestial alignments. Meanwhile, Rook and Clock navigated the rocky terrain around the temple, moving silently. Rook's instincts were on high alert, his senses attuned to the slightest disturbance. "Do you smell that, Clock?" Rook suddenly whispered, his nostrils flaring as he detected a pungent odor. "Oil and ozone," Clock analyzed swiftly. "Swarm drones nearby. Stay sharp." They rounded a corner and found themselves at a smaller, secondary entrance, partially collapsed. Peering inside, they spotted the telltale flicker of electronic surveillance, swarm technology. "We can use this to our advantage," Rook murmured, pulling out a small device. "I can jam their signals, cause some confusion." "Do it." "I'll cover you," Clock responded, setting up in a defensive position. Back inside the temple, Aiden and Rhea reached the central dome, where the hum was now a resonant pulse. The dome was vast, the ceiling arching high above, the walls lined with more enigmatic carvings. There, Aiden pointed to a pedestal in the center of the room, upon which sat an object enveloped in a shimmering field of energy. The relic of Oceanara. As they approached, the air around them thickened, charged with static energy. "Be ready for anything," Aiden cautioned, drawing his weapon. Just as they were meters away from the relic, a sudden blast shook the dome. Swarm drones, alerted to their presence, poured into the room from hidden recesses in the walls. "Rhea, hold them off. I'll secure the relic," Aiden shouted, diving into a roll as he fired at the approaching drones. Rhea extended her hands, her body glowing intensely as she unleashed waves of energy, disrupting the drone's circuits and slowing their advance. Outside, Rook successfully jammed the surveillance network, causing chaos among the swarm forces. "Now's our chance, Clock. Move in." With Clock's powerful strides, they breached the temple, making their way to join Aiden and Rhea. Inside the dome, Aiden reached the pedestal, grappling with the energy field. "Come on," he grunted, his determination palpable as he searched for a way to deactivate the barrier. With Rhea's support and the timely arrival of Rook and Clock, the team rallied, their combined strength turning the tide. The air crackled with energy, the battle reaching its crescendo as Aiden finally found the mechanism hidden within the pedestal, a series of pressure points that, when pressed in sequence, slowly dissipated the energy field. As the barrier fell, Aiden grasped the relic, a simple, unassuming orb pulsing with contained power. "Got it," he breathed, a mix of relief and triumph in his voice as he held it aloft. "Captain, now let's get out of here," Clock bellowed, providing cover fire as the team retreated, the relic of HFYstory in tow, their mission a crucial step closer to completion. As Captain Aiden Rook clutched the pulsing relic of HFYstory, he led his team through the labyrinthine corridors of the ancient temple, their retreat covered by the resolute fire of Clock's energy weapon. The relentless assault by the swarm drones continued, their shrieking processors echoing menacingly through the stone halls. "We need to find a different exit, this one will be swarming with them soon," Aiden shouted over the din of battle. Rook, his reptilian eyes narrowing, quickly scouted ahead. "This way," he called, leading them through a narrow, partially collapsed passageway. The walls here bore the marks of ancient weaponry, a silent testament to battles long past. As they hurried along, Rhea, her form shimmering with fatigue, moved to Aiden's side. "Captain, the relic, it's affecting me, resonating with my structure. It's overwhelming. Can you hold on, just a bit longer?" "We need you," Aiden replied, concern etching his features. "I will try, Captain. My abilities might be enhanced or unpredictable right now," she warned, her voice resonating like a struck crystal. Emerging into a small clearing, the team was suddenly ambushed by a horde of swarm scouts. "Ambush! Form up!" Aiden commanded, raising his weapon. The team quickly formed a defensive circle, backs together, as the swarm closed in. Clock stepped forward, his mechanical limbs whirring as he swung his arms, knocking back several drones. "I'll cover the front, push them back," he bellowed, his voice a commanding boom over the clash of metal and energy. Rook, agile and swift, darted in and out of the enemy's reach, his daggers slicing through the wiring and circuitry of the drones. "Keep tight. Don't let them surround us." Meanwhile, Rhea focused her energies, the air around her crackling with power. With a concerted effort, she released a wave of energy, causing several drones to malfunction and drop mid-flight. "I can't keep this up for long," she gasped, the strain evident in her glowing form. Aiden, moving to her side, fired continuously, protecting her as she recovered her strength. "Just a bit longer, Rhea. We're almost out," he reassured her, shooting down a drone that had come dangerously close. Suddenly, an enormous vibration shook the ground, and a deafening roar split the air. The team looked up in horror as a massive swarm destroyer appeared overhead, casting a massive shadow over the clearing. "This just got a lot worse," Aiden muttered, assessing their dire situation. "We can't fight that thing head-on," Rook exclaimed, his voice tinged with alarm. Clock, ever the stoic warrior, checked his weapon's energy reserve. "We don't need to fight it. We need to survive it. Aiden, do we have any of those thermal charges left?" "Yes, in my pack," Aiden confirmed, quickly retrieving a small, compact device. "Set it up there," Clock pointed to a large overhanging rock at the edge of the clearing. "When I give the word, detonate it." As Aiden prepared the charge, Clock and Rook provided cover, while Rhea gathered her last reserves of energy. "Ready!" Aiden shouted, diving back to the safety of their makeshift fortification. "Now, Rook!" Clock yelled, and at his command, Rook used his exceptional agility to scale the rock face rapidly. Reaching the charge, he activated it just as the swarm destroyer aligned for another attack run. The explosion was monumental, sending shockwaves through the clearing and dislodging the rock face, which tumbled down onto the destroyer with a resounding crash. The impact was enough to destabilize the destroyer, sending it crashing to the ground in a fiery wreck. "Move! Now!" Aiden commanded, seizing the moment of confusion among the swarm's ranks. They sprinted through the debris and smoke, dodging falling rocks and twisted metal. As they finally cleared the area, they found themselves on the outskirts of a dense forest. The sounds of the battle behind them faded as they pressed on, weary but alive. "That was too close," Rhea breathed, her form dimming with each word. "We're not clear yet, But we'll make it, Aiden assured her, a hand on her shoulder. Everyone, great work back there. Let's keep moving. We need to find a safe place to analyze the relic and plan our next move. As night began to fall, the team found solace in a secluded grove. There, under the cover of alien flora, they finally had a moment to rest. They set up a small camp, the firelight casting dancing shadows on their tired faces. Clock looked around at the group, a rare smile cracking his usually impassive demeanor. "I've fought many battles," he said, his voice low. "But I've never seen a group come together like this. We're more than a team now. We're comrades." "Agreed," Aiden nodded, looking at each of them. "Today, we didn't just fight for survival. We fought for each other. And that makes all the difference." As they settled in for the night, the bonds they had forged in the heat of battle felt like the strongest armor they could wear. Tomorrow, they would face the swarm again, but tonight, they rested as brothers and sisters in arms. The pre-dawn air was crisp as Captain Aiden Rook and his team readied themselves in the quiet solitude of their hidden grove. The tension of the upcoming confrontation with the swarm hung heavy like a fog. "We're low on supplies, and after yesterday, the swarm will be scouring the area more thoroughly. We need a plan that keeps us off their radar while we make our way back to Federation territory," Aiden spoke to his team, his face illuminated by the dim light of the campfire. Rhea, still feeling the aftereffects of the intense energy she had channeled, nodded weakly. "The relic's energy seems to have an inherent masking ability. It's faint, but I believe I can amplify it, extend its cloaking effect to cover our movements." Rook, sharpening his blades, looked up. "That's good, but we're sitting ducks if we encounter another destroyer. We need a better offensive strategy." Clock, checking the integrity of his armament, added, "I've salvaged some components from the downed drones. Given some time, I can rig up a few explosive devices. It won't stop a destroyer, but it could give us the edge against another wave of scouts." Aiden considered their options. "All right," Rhea extends the relic's cloaking field. "Clock sets traps behind us to slow any pursuit. Rook, you take point with your scouting. I'll cover our 6. Let's move out at first light." As the first rays of sun filtered through the alien foliage, the team dismantled their camp and set out. The forest was eerily silent, the usual calls of the wildlife stilled by the pervasive presence of the swarm nearby. Progress was slow but steady as they moved through the thick underbrush. Rhea's amplified cloaking field shimmered around them, a subtle distortion in the air the only sign of its presence. Rook, ever vigilant, paused frequently to listen and smell the air for signs of the enemy. Suddenly, he gestured for the team to stop. "There's something ahead." "Not swarm." "It's different," he whispered. Aiden moved up to his side, peering through the foliage. A small group of Federation soldiers was pinned down by a swarm patrol, outnumbered and outgunned. "We have to help them," he stated firmly, the decision clear in his voice. Without hesitation, the team sprang into action. Clock and Rook flanked the swarm patrol, while Aiden and Rhea moved directly to aid the Federation soldiers. "Covering fire!" Aiden shouted as he and Rhea broke from the treeline, firing into the ranks of the swarm drones. The sudden appearance of reinforcements took the swarm by surprise, and the tide of the battle quickly turned. As the last of the drones fell, the Federation soldiers, ragged and worn from the fight, expressed their gratitude. "Captain Rook, we thought we were done for." "Thank you," the sergeant said, clasping Aiden's hand. "We're all in this together," Aiden replied, clapping the sergeant on the shoulder. "What's your status?" "Low on everything," the sergeant admitted. "We were heading to a rendezvous point 2 clicks west when we got ambushed. That's on our way to the extraction zone." "You can join us," Aiden offered, and the sergeant nodded his agreement. With their ranks bolstered, the group resumed their trek, moving with renewed purpose. The presence of the Federation soldiers lifted the team's spirits, but the threat of the swarm was ever present. As they neared the extraction zone, the ominous hum of a swarm destroyer filled the air, its shadow looming large as it scanned the terrain. "Take cover!" Rook barked, leading the group into a narrow ravine, the rocky walls providing some protection. We won't outrun it, Aiden said, looking to Clock. Can you rig those explosives now? With pleasure, Clock replied, setting to work immediately. As the destroyer hovered closer, its scanners sweeping the area, Clock's makeshift bomb was ready. On my mark, he said, priming the device. Aiden nodded, and at Clock's signal, he threw the explosive toward the destroyer. The explosion was massive, rocking the ravine as shrapnel and fire engulfed the drone. The destroyer wavered, damaged but not down. Again! Aiden yelled. Clock prepared another device, but this time, as he activated it, he was struck by debris from the ongoing battle, his systems shorting out. Clock! Rhea cried out, rushing to his side, her hands glowing as she tried to stabilize his systems. Rook, seizing the explosive, charged out of cover, hurling it with precision. The second explosion tore through the destroyer, sending it crashing to the ground in a fiery ruin. We need to move, now! Aiden urged, helping Rhea with Clock as they made their final push to the extraction zone. As they reached the designated coordinates, the sound of Federation ships broke through the sky, descending rapidly to retrieve them. We made it, Aiden breathed, relief washing over him as he watched his team, battered but alive, board the rescue ships. Thanks to you, Captain, Rook said, clapping Aiden on the back. And to all of us. Together. As the ships ascended, leaving the smoldering wreckage of the battlefield below, Aiden looked at his team, their faces a mixture of fatigue and triumph. They had done more than survive, they had delivered hope, a chance to end the war with the swarm. And as the ships rendezvoused with the Federation fleet, the galaxy seemed a little less dark, the stars a little brighter, with the unity and bravery of a few standing against the many. The Federation fleet's medical bay was a stark white blur to Captain Aiden Rook as he regained consciousness. The steady beep of medical monitors and the antiseptic smell of the infirmary slowly brought him back to the present. "How are you feeling, Captain?" asked Dr. Lin, the fleet's chief medical officer, as she adjusted a device on his arm. "Like I've been run over by a cruiser, Doc," Aiden grumbled, trying to sit up but wincing at the effort. "Take it easy, Captain. You've taken quite a beating. The good news is, you and your team are safe now. The relic worked, reports are coming in from all over the sector. The swarm's advances are stalling," Dr. Lin informed him with a smile. Aiden let out a sigh of relief. "And the team? How are they?" "Resting. Rhea and Rook are already asking when they can be discharged." "Clock is undergoing repairs, but he'll be operational soon," she replied. "I need to see them, document." "As soon as possible," Aiden insisted, his voice laced with urgency. "Give it a few hours." "Let me fix you up first," Dr. Lin said, her tone brooking no argument. A few hours later, Aiden limped into the fleet's briefing room, where his team was already gathered, looking various degrees of battered but alive. The room erupted into cheers as he entered, the sound echoing off the metallic walls. "Captain on deck," Rook announced, standing up straighter. "At ease, team," Aiden chuckled, feeling a wave of emotion at the sight of them all. "I see some of you look worse than me." "We're just trying to make you feel better about your flying skills, sir," Rhea quipped, her crystalline form sparkling lightly. Aiden took a moment to look at each of them, pride swelling in his chest. "We did something incredible. We've given the Federation and the galaxy a fighting chance." Clock, whose cybernetic parts gleamed under the room's lights, added, "It was an honor to fight alongside each of you. We have changed the course of this war." Their attention was drawn to the main screen as Admiral Gorski appeared, his image flickering slightly with the transmission. "Team, I won't waste words. Your actions have saved millions. The relic's effect on the swarm has given us the upper hand. We're preparing a full counteroffensive based on your success." The room was silent, the weight of their accomplishment hanging in the air. "Captain Rook, your leadership turned the tide. The Council is awarding you and your team the Star of Valor, the highest commendation we have." "Well done, Captain. Well done, all of you." Applause filled the room, but Aiden raised his hand for silence. "Thank you, Admiral. But I didn't do this alone. This team, this family, made it possible. We all share this honor." The Admiral nodded. "A celebration is in order when you return. For now, rest and heal. Gorski out." As the screen went dark, Rook clapped Aiden on the shoulder. "So, Captain, where next for us?" Aiden smiled, looking around at his team, their faces reflecting a mix of fatigue and determination. "We rest, we heal, and then we finish what we started. We go back out there, and we ensure peace is restored. We fight not just to win a battle, but to end a war." Cheers filled the room once more, the team rallying around their captain's words. Later, as Aiden stood alone in the observation deck, looking out at the stars, he reflected on the journey. They had come out of darkness and into light, from the brink of defeat to the threshold of victory. In the quiet of space, he whispered to the stars, "For those we lost, for those we can still save." And across the galaxy, from the buzzing halls of the Federation to the quiet, distant outposts, the story of Aiden Rook and his team spread. A story of courage, unity, and the unwavering spirit of humanity. A story that would echo through the cosmos, a reminder that even in the vast, dark reaches of space, light could thrive. And so, Aiden Rook, a simple captain from a humble beginning, became a beacon of hope, a legend etched not only in medals and commendations but in the hearts of all who would tell and retell the tale of the echoes of Andromeda.